Welcome to Marketing Monday. I'm Eric Rhoads, fine art connoisseur, plein air magazine, and today is all about you. What I want you to do is to give me your marketing problems to solve. Now, why do we need marketing problems? Well, we don't. But if you intend to make money as an artist, whether it's a little bit of supplemental income or whether it's a full-time income, our goal is to help you make money. So on Marketing Monday, this is something fairly new here. We are, as part of Art School Live, going to answer your marketing questions. Now, we have ways that you can give your questions. You can put your questions in the chat. You can actually come live on the program. In the chat, there is a link. You can go live, and then our producers will pull you in, and you can ask your questions. Live is the best way. But in the meantime, I'm just going to start answering questions because that's what I do here. All right. So this one comes from Adrienne, and Adrienne said, I once had an advisor tell me that it's not about the art, it's about how interesting the artist is. Can you comment about that? Well, everybody's got an opinion. Opinions are like, well, you've heard that before. So the idea is that I think the advisor is telling you is that people live vicariously through artists. They wish they had your talent. They wish they could do what you do. And if you, as the artist, are exaggerating your lifestyle a little bit, or maybe not exaggerating it, but promoting your lifestyle, the fact that, I was just in Japan for 10 days painting Mount Fuji in Japan, that's something other people might not get to do. So that just enhances the marketing story for you and your story as an artist. And so I think that if you can find ways to do that, I think that's important. But you want to be careful about that too. I had an art gallery out in California tell me that they terminated an artist because the artist was posting a lot of pictures of himself with his partying antics and some things that they felt were a little bit inappropriate. As a matter of fact, they had a collector call them and say, I just bought a painting from this artist and I can no longer look at that painting because of the disgusting things I saw online. So the artist, the collector wanted to trade in the artist for something different, which they did. So you can hurt yourself, you can help yourself. So look for ways, Adrienne, excuse me, that you can enhance your image, and I think that will help you quite a bit. I hope that's been helpful. I don't know if we have any live questions yet or not, but if you do, make sure that you go in and click the link, and we'll see if we can do that. We would like to have you join live today. This is from Paul. And Paul's question is, an international gallery has approached me to show my work. Congratulations. But I need to know what questions to ask and what to be aware of. I was watching social media this morning, and there was a post in there that said, getting a gallery isn't the hard part. Getting a gallery that is a fit is the hard part. Now, I will tell you that for some artists, getting a gallery is the hard part. We'll talk about that at another time. But is the gallery a fit? So here are the questions that I often will ask when a gallery asks me to come into their gallery. The first thing I do before I ever ask them questions is I go to their website, I peruse the website, and here's what I'm looking for. I want to know, what's the quality of the artists that they represent? Are the artists great artists? Are they mediocre artists? Are they a fit for me? Am I going to be the worst artist in the gallery? Am I going to be the best artist in the gallery? I don't necessarily want to be the best artist in the gallery. I'd like to have some big names in there that elevates the rest of us. But if I'm the biggest name, then that maybe doesn't elevate me, right? So those are the things you think about. You also think about things like, are they selling? Can you tell if they're selling? Are there artist sections where you can look at the artist and there are a lot of sold red dots? That's a good way to sell. The other thing is to look at what else is the gallery doing? Are they promoting? Are they advertising? If you're in a gallery, you want somebody who's going to be promotional. You want to look at their social media pages. What are they doing for their artist? How are they promoting themselves? Are they quality? Are they posting quality artwork? Can you tell a difference in what they're posting? So I think that those are the kinds of questions. Now, the other thing I would do, Paul, I would go to the other artists. I'd pick up the phone or I'd email, go to the other artists and say, hey, I just got approached by this gallery and I'd like to get your feelings on it. How are they doing for you? Do they pay on time? Are they selling a lot of artwork? I've had galleries where my artwork moves. I have a gallery where the minute my artwork got there, they got excited about it. They did a show, they promoted it, they sold a lot of artwork, and that was terrific. But now, 2 or 3 years later, they're not doing the same kind of attention, right? So you wonder, is that something that you should remain in? Because, if I'm tying up my artwork, my inventory, if you will, then, I need it to sell. And then I have another gallery that just sent me a big check for a bunch of paintings they sold. Now, they weren't selling a lot. And I called them and I said, I'm thinking about pulling out. And they said, well, why don't you wait just a little bit? And then they gave it a lot of attention. They started showing my work to other people and they sent me a big check. So those are the kinds of things you want to find out about. So here's another question from John Arthur. I don't know where these people are from, but John, welcome. What do you think about offering your artwork to business people as an investment to make money from on a regular basis? And how would you go about doing it? Well, art as an investment is tricky, right? So we've all heard that, art can be a great investment, but are you a great investment? Now, it's nice that you think you are and you might be, but unless you can prove an investment story, can you prove that a painting that you sold a year ago is more money than it was 2 years ago, et cetera? You want to be able to show the progression. And by the way, it's not just you raising the prices. How's it showing up in the auction market? How's it showing up in the gallery market? And so I think, most people in a certain price range anyway, they don't invest in art. They invest in their happiness, their joy. And that is about, is there a painting that I'm seeing that I'm loving? And can I enjoy that painting? Is it going to be something I want to hang on my wall? Because ultimately, if you buy a piece of art for investment purposes and you don't love it, you're not going to want to hang it up. You're not going to want to be around it. You're going to throw it in a warehouse. Now, there are people who invest in art and they typically invest in artists who are extremely hot, that are really going places. Oftentimes you see that in the modern art world. And you'll see them buy up. If something is really hot, they'll buy up a lot of it. They'll throw it in a warehouse and they'll wait 20 years and then they'll sell it. There are investment companies that do this just for artwork. You don't see it as much in the non-modern art world. At least I'm not seeing it. So there are a lot of possibilities, but I think the most important thing is, can you make a good argument for that? If I'm investing in something right now in the market, which you're getting an average return 4 to 5%. Am I going to get an average return on that painting 4 to 5%? Am I going to get more than average? Because if I can put my money into the stock market and get 5%, and I can get out at any time, if I have to sell a painting, I can't get out quickly. I can't cash out, right? How am I going to sell that painting? Who's going to buy it? And is that really something that people are going to want to be investing in? So those are the kinds of things that you want to think about. So you could try it. Now I think we have a question from the comments. This is from Marie Weimer Parks. And the question is, which platform do you suggest to start a new website? I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm not so sure that I even care about websites anymore. I think websites, you've got to have them, but there are a lot of ways to sell artwork. Having a website is kind of like having your name in the phone book. Now, what I mean by that. So if you remember the movie, The Jerk by Steve Martin, he was running and he was celebrating, my name's in the phone book. My name's in the phone book. Everybody's going to be calling me. How absurd is that, right? I had somebody recently contact me and they said, I spent a lot of time and money putting up a website and I'm not getting any business. Why? And I said, well, what are you doing to drive people to the website? Well, I'm not doing anything. I assumed that they would find me. Well, how are they finding you? Are they finding you in search? I mean, if you are a big enough brand, if you're Scott Christensen or Clyde Aspavig or somebody with a big brand, then maybe you'll get lucky and they will Google your name. And if they Google your name, uh, what will they find? They might find an Ask Art listing on that artist. They might find a Wikipedia page. They might find something else. But are you somebody that somebody's going to Google? Be honest with yourself. You may or may not be. But most of us, if we want to drive traffic to a web page, then we have to figure out ways to advertise that web page. Now, a lot of my advertisers in Fine Art Connoisseur or Plein Air Magazine will put a web page on their ads, and it might say, visit me for my free calendar or my free ebook or something, trying to get people to go to the website. And your goal of getting them to the website isn't, I know this is going to seem strange. Your goal is not to, how am I going to get them to the website to buy something? The goal is to get them to the website so you can get their email address so that you can keep them informed with your newsletter and you have more opportunities to talk to them, because not everybody's a buyer at the moment, right? Somebody might be interested. They might go to your website. They might not see anything that speaks to them, but they like your work. And so they might want to come back at another point in the future. So you've got to look for ways to talk to them. If you can put yourself in front of people, if you can make sure that, they're getting your newsletter, or they're signed up for your Instagram page or your Facebook page or your TikTok page or whatever, then those are ways that you could be talking to them on a regular basis. Having a website is like having your own media, but if there is no traffic there, it's not going to matter. So hopefully that helps. Okay, from the comments section, Kim Albright is saying, what is the very first thing to do to start? I'm at a very initial stage. Well, I'm going to be talking about this in a little bit more depth. I'll be doing art marketing at the Plein Air Convention one afternoon, and we're going to talk about starting. How do you get a good start? Because like a painting, a great start is everything, right? Because you want to make your mistakes in the start. You want to correct them in the start so that, your overpainting is better. Well, the same is kind of true in starting out as an artist. So the first thing you've got to ask yourself is, why do I want to do this? What are my goals? Do I have a purpose? I I have some people that I coached. I was at Fall Color Week, which is my fall retreat, and I offered some coaching one afternoon. It was snowing or something, and a lot of people needed something to do. So I did some coaching and one-on-one, and I had this fellow, and he said, "I really want to sell my artwork." I said, "Well, why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "Because everybody else does." I said, "Well, do you need the money?" He says, "No, I don't need the money." He says, "I have more money than I could ever spend in my life." So you don't need to sell your artwork to make money. He said, "No." I said, "Why then do you need to sell your artwork?" He said, "Well, I guess I kind of like to know that other people like it." I said, "All right. So what you're really saying is you'd like to get validation. You would like to know that others appreciate your artwork, right?" He said, "That's exactly right. And you don't need to sell it. So what are other ways that you could get validation?" So we went through an exercise on that. And what he finally concluded is that he wanted to give his paintings away. He didn't want to sell them. He wanted to put them in charity auctions where he could get recognition for his artwork. And I think that was perfectly fine. I coached another person the same week. They said almost the same thing. They said, "It's not about the money. I just want to know that people want to buy it." He said, "If people are willing to buy it, that gives me validation." So he decided that he was going to put his artwork in galleries and that he was going to try to sell it, but he didn't need the money. It wasn't about the money. It's about his purpose. So I think the starting point in all of this is, what is your purpose? What do you want to do? So let's play through a couple of these different options. All right. So what are some of the purposes you could have? Well, one purpose would be, I need money. I don't have a job. And so you have to ask yourself, okay, how much money do I need? What amount of money, what amount of success do I need? And you might say, well, I need $1,000 a month. Or you might say, I need $10,000 a month. It's a different story depending on what you need. So determine what you need. You might say, well, I already have an income. Maybe I'm on Social Security, but I'd like to make an extra, a little bit of spending money. So then you ask yourself, well, how much extra do I want? Do I want $500 extra? Do I want $100,000 extra? Because I mean, everybody's going to say they want more money. I get that typically, but what you really want to find out is, what am I aiming for? You know, you can take a target and you can aim for a target and shoot your arrow and hit it, or you can just start shooting throughout the air. And that's what most people do, is they don't have a target. They don't have a purpose. So the very starting point with everything is not a tactic. It's a strategy. Now, a strategy is, where do I want to go? And a tactic is, what am I going to do to get there? All right, there's a big difference. So figure out first, what is it that you want to accomplish? Now, I think the root of your question, though, probably goes a little deeper. And that is, all right, let's assume that you have already figured out your strategy. Let's assume you said, all right, I want to sell $10,000 of art a year. Let's say $12,000 of art a year. So you now know, all right, you've got to sell $1,000 a month, right? So how do you sell $1,000 a month? The first thing that I always do is I take an elephant and I like to eat it one bite at a time. You've heard that before, right? So the idea being, if you got to make $1,000 a month, then break that out, let's say just as an average, 4 weeks, right? So now I got to make $250 a week. What can I do to make $250 a week? I can sell one painting at $1,000 profit, or I can sell 4 paintings at $250. How am I going to find enough people to sell 4 paintings? How am I going to sell one? And of course, you can't just paint one, because if the one you paint isn't good or doesn't appeal to somebody, then you've got to have some more options, right? And so there's a thing called sell-through. The concept of sell-through is that you have a certain percentage of things that sell and a certain percentage that don't sell. And as a result, you got to find out what's going to sell, and you don't always have control over that. So that I think will help you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just play something real briefly, a little promo coming up for the Plein Air Convention, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks. And I'm going to just play that promo so I can step out and get a glass of water. So the plein air convention is coming up, and there might be a couple seats left, but I mean, it's essentially sold out. But there are pre-convention workshops, one with 𝗄𝗶𝘁𝗵, one with 𝗥𝗵𝟐𝗶 Kapoor, the watercolorist from India, one with Aaron Scher, and we have a plein air basics for anybody who wants to learn about plein air. So if you're going to the convention and you're not going to one of those pre-convention workshops, check them out. If you do want to go to the convention, get on the wait list, go to the website. If there's no wait list, that means there is an available seat. If the wait list is there, that means you want to join the wait list. And as soon as somebody drops out, for some reason, we had somebody drop out yesterday because her husband got sick. And so be on the wait list so that you can get in. It's in Cherokee, North Carolina this year, which is near Asheville. It's going to be really a lot of fun. I think this is the biggest we've ever done. So make sure you join us for that. Okay, we're doing Marketing Monday. I'm Eric Rhoads, and I have spent my life in marketing, building businesses, and of course, I publish art magazines. And so I've been able to coach a lot of artists. I've coached artists to become literally millionaires because, and from really literally from near bankruptcy to millionaires. It takes time. Nothing happens overnight. I got to tell you that, nothing is instant, but you got to take time and effort and be deliberate. If you're just hoping it happens, it's not likely to happen. Okay, so we have a guest now. Let's bring our guest in with our question.
Oh. Well, hello, Eric, and all of the friends that are out there. It's so wonderful to be here with you. I'm here at Ceres Gallery with all the beautiful paintings. And one of my questions that I wanted you to explain for the artists that are watching is, how do you go about getting into a gallery? What would you suggest to our artists when they're thinking, I'm ready now, I'm ready to get in a gallery, but I don't really have a name yet? And a lot of the galleries want people to have an established name for themselves. A lot of our artists have taken up painting late in life, and so they haven't put that time in yet, but they're great artists. So how do they approach an art gallery?
Well, I think that, I have my opinions, Elaine, and you have a very good art gallery. I'm proud to be represented in your art gallery.
Thank you.
I would say that I would probably reverse the question to you, because you are the person they're going to try and convince. But let me ask you, what do you think?
So my thought is the best way to get into a gallery is to go into the one you're interested in totally incognito. Don't tell them you're an artist. Go in and see the response to you as a person walking in the door. Do they greet you, or do they ignore you? Are they on their cell phone? Do you just walk in and walk around and walk back out again? Well, if that's the way they are, this is what they're going to do for your collectors. It's a feeling that you need to get walking in without them knowing you're an artist. If they welcome you and chat with you, that's great. Still don't tell them you're an artist. I think you come back another time and another time and another time. And one of the things you want to do when you're walking around is look at what's on the walls. Are you a Hudson River painter and you love this art gallery because they sell all the time and you hear about all the sales, and you go in there and the walls are covered with colorful abstract art? Are you going to fit in there? Is this really where you think you should be? Maybe sometimes something different is what they're looking for, but maybe not. So you got to get a feel for the place. You have to get a feel for the people and how they respond to you coming in the door, not knowing you're an artist. When you find one place that you think you could fit into a third time, and hopefully it's the same person there, maybe it's not, but then you start chatting and letting them know you're an artist, and then getting a feel for the place. Are they looking for anybody new? Never go into an art gallery with a slew of paintings under your arm, or with photos on your cell phone and say, hey, here's my art, want to see it? Click, click, click. It's the quickest way to put a gallery owner asleep, is to start going through your paintings unrequested. So maybe one or two you could chat about, and that's it. Don't overdo it.
I want to ask you a question about that. I think this is really an important point. I have had, I had a gallery owner in New York City tell me that he spends a tremendous amount. He wasted a tremendous amount
Oh,
of time because he would get 100 submissions a week by email. He would get 100 packages a week by email. And he also told me that he was in the gallery one time. He was about to sell a painting to a collector, a very expensive painting. And somebody walked in right in the middle while I was talking, and he said, "Hi, I'm a local artist. I would like to see if you guys would represent me." And in the 5 seconds that he was able to say, "I'm sorry, this is an inappropriate time. I'm with a client," the client left, and he lost the sale. And then when the client left, he berated the artist, which is probably not the right thing to do, but he was angry. And he said, "Listen, you just killed a sale for me. You interrupted me. Don't ever do that to anybody again. Just patiently wait." But I asked him about this. "Do you like it?" And he said, "No, I don't like it when artists show up." He said, "What I want to have happen," and I'm sure every gallery is different and every level of gallery is different, but he said, "What I want to have happen is," he says, "I want to pick the artists in my gallery.
mhm.
And the way I find artists is I get recommendations from other galleries, I get recommendations from other artists. And as I was talking earlier, um, this gallery that I told you fired an artist because of putting, party pictures on Facebook, inappropriate things.
Mm.
Uh, Another gallery called them and said, "By the way, I was thinking about handling this artist. I'm in a different section of the country. I see that you had handled him, but he's not there anymore. What's the issue?" And so she said, "Look, I have this problem." And she also told me stories about how this artist would get drunk at his own receptions, and then he would be, out of control, and so artist behavior is really critical. How do you feel about if you have a gallery and you're in the middle of something and you have 10 or 20 artists drop in that week? How are you feeling about that?
Really not good, because that's too many coming in a week, and I don't look at their work. It's the person who comes back more than once. Often artists will come in and leave their card on the counter, and that's okay. They haven't bothered me. They haven't talked to me. They haven't shown me a million pictures. They've left their card. And if it's got an interesting image on the front, I'll probably look at their website. And the way I get artists in our gallery is through recommendations from other artists and other galleries. I no longer take people just that walk in off of the street, because we have a way of chatting with people and making them feel welcome in our gallery when they come in the door. And there are some people who won't talk to people. They'll sit behind the counter and not chat. Our gallery is a hybrid. So it's not just a gallery where people pay to play. This is not that kind of a gallery. We have a hybrid between people who can be here that are local artists and help man the gallery, and also master painters that are world renowned that we'd never even asked to ever come to the gallery and be part of manning the shop. But with this wonderful blend, our local artists are being discovered by the people who come in for the world famous artists, because they don't just look at the world famous artists' work, they look at every painting in this gallery. And so our local artists are developing a name for themselves. We've had people who have come in repeatedly, left a note, left a card, come to our Art Around Town celebrations and introduced themselves. And I've gotten to know them through that time, where they come to our welcoming parties. And what nailed it for them to get into our gallery was they moved here. We've had several artists who actually moved to Portsmouth to be part of our art gallery and part of our art community. And so that shows real dedication. And I'm looking for that. I'm mortified when someone corners me on a bus at one of our events and starts pulling out their cell phone and showing me 9,000 pictures of their paintings and talking nonstop. So that's a no. Even if
All
they're
right. Well, I think you brought up something else too, and that is that, there's a cooperative spirit. The cooperative spirit is you're in this 50-50 with me. It's not 100% your job to sell my paintings. It's half of my job to help you sell my paintings. And a lot of that has to do with promotions, doing shows, willingness to show up and be helpful. As you know, we produce hundreds of art instruction videos at painttube.tv. And once in a while, an artist will say, well, it's your job to sell these. And we say, look, we're in this together. If you're not talking about it, if you're not putting it on your website too, if you're not participating promotionally, then a lot of people are going to miss it and you're going to miss out. We can't do everything. We try to do everything, but we can't do it all. So I think the same thing holds true in a case like that. So what's the worst experience that you've ever had with an artist trying to get into your gallery?
Oh, definitely the same one that you explained, where you were about to make a sale and someone comes in and says, "Hey, excuse me, I'm an artist and look at my work." I'm like, that is the worst. That is the worst. Interrupting the art gallery person who's talking with a customer is the worst. That is it. Yes.
Okay, so I've got another question for you because I think this is important. And for everybody who's watching this, I want you to pay very close attention. Now, I know the answers to this already, but what I'm going to ask Elaine to articulate these things because I think they're really important. I oftentimes will see discussions on social media about, I can't believe that gallery is taking 50%. They don't do anything for their money. Talk about what it's like to have to run a gallery, what it's like to have to pay the bills. What do you have to go through on a day-to-day basis to be able to create an environment for people to sell their work?
Well, it's on a daily basis. We created a community. So when people come into our gallery, they feel welcomed. We've also had people come in that have said, is this a museum? Do we pay on our way out? Because our paintings are such high quality. People have said, yeah, we need to know where to buy our ticket. And maybe they were kind of joking, but they were serious about the quality of the paintings. And we chat with people coming in the door. We make sure they feel comfortable about being here. We've had people come in many, many times and say they feel like they have a friend here. And that's who you want representing you to sell your paintings. You want someone who's welcoming people that they want to keep returning. And so we do have a wonderful community of people that are our patrons, that are repeat collectors, that come back time and time and time again. And so that's a bit of work. We have to make sure the person sitting behind the counter has that outgoing personality that's going to be excited about the person coming in and excited about the painting they chose. Even if it's not their painting that they chose, they have all this wonderfulness to say about the painting the buyer chose. And so we celebrate every sale, absolutely every sale. We celebrate every art gallery that's coming in. Some people that are art gallery owners feel it's a threat to have more galleries coming in. We don't feel that way. We want to promote artists, and that's our main goal, is how the artists get a leg up in this very competitive world. So the more art galleries, the merrier.
Let me play off of that just a second, riff off of that, Elaine. uh, great marketing experiment. So there's a Coke machine, and somebody goes to the owner of this location with the Coke machine, and he says, "I'd like to put a Pepsi machine there." And what does the owner say? The owner says, "No, because I don't want to cut my sales in half."
Oh,
And the Pepsi person says, "Do it for 1 month and see what happens." And what happens is when there are more choices, the sales increase. So in a tip, Coca-Cola will tell you this too, where there's a Coke machine by itself, if you put a Pepsi machine next to it, sales will double for both of them. Will double. So if you're on a, it's kind of like every city has car dealer row, right? It's
yeah.
like, why would you want to be next to the other car dealers? And that's because when people are coming to look at cars, they're going, "Oh, I should go over there and look at that too. And I should go over there and look at that." Now, not everybody's going to get the sale. Only one person's going to get that sale. But when you have a street of art galleries, it's actually better.
It really is. It's like, well, you see McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's are all together in one place, and people have choices, and there are more people who are hungry going to these locations. It's the same with our art galleries. We have 𝗠𝗿𝗶𝗃𝗏's wonderful gallery a couple of doors down, and we send people there all the time. He sends people to us, and we send people around the corner to the frame shop that also has artists and paintings on their walls. So it's a wonderful community. And that's what we do. We create a wonderful community, and we're starting to advertise in Boston newspapers. They always say, "Oh, go to Portsmouth. It's got wonderful theater. We have 4 different theaters. We have so many wonderful award-winning restaurants." They never mention art galleries. So we've started getting the art galleries into their advertisements down in Boston to have people come up for the art, because we are definitely a well-known art community in our area.
I think the other thing that people need to consider, Elaine, is you're paying for all those lights.
Oh, yes.
You're paying exorbitantly high rent to be in a high visibility area. You have costs of insurance, employees. You have people who call in sick, and you have to deal with those things. And you have to train people to sell. There's a lot of things that artists don't really think about that are really important to understand with an art gallery. And so this has been very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Okay, so what we're doing is Marketing Monday. I'm Eric Rhoads. We are really trying to help you. If you're an artist, you desire to sell your artwork someday, or maybe you're doing it now, you want to sell more art. We would love for you to put your questions in the chat, or we will put a link in there so you can come on live with me. And we'd love to have you on if you'd like to. And that is an opportunity to be able to probe your question. Nobody wants to be first. Elaine Miller's always like, "I'll be first." She has no fear. And that's why she's successful, is because she has no fear. So I think that if you have something that's a burning question, one of the questions in the chat that I just saw is about pricing. How do I price my artwork? Well, pricing is tricky. I tell a story about a gallery I was in New Mexico, and it was the first gallery I was ever in, and I was very nervous. And I said to the gallery owner, "I would like to be the most expensive artist in the gallery." And she said, "Well, no." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because you're not the most well-known artist in the gallery. There are artists that have been painting for a lot longer. They have bigger brands." And I said, "But price price is a signal. A high price is a signal. There are people who wander into your art gallery who don't know the difference between artist 1 and artist 2. They just know that they see what they love." And what happened here? Oh, I see. We lost me. Okay. So there are people that we see we don't know. So price is oftentimes a signal, and sometimes you can set a high price, and that high price will be good for you, and you'll sell. Now, I will tell you that the best way to get a high price, though, relates to what this gallery owner said to me, and that is you've got to have a brand. If you have a big brand that brand will help you get a higher price for the people who know. They'll think about this. You know about a Mercedes, you know about a Lexus, you see those cars on a day-to-day basis. You might not know, you probably know about a Rolls Royce. You might not know about a Bugatti, which is $1 million. But there are people who are in the know, and there are people who say, I want the best of the best, and I will pay a premium price to have the best of the best. And if the Bugatti is the most expensive car, maybe it's a Ferrari, then there are people out there who want to be seen owning the most expensive. There are also people out there who don't care about being seen, but they care about having the best of the best. I want to drive the best car. I want to live in the best neighborhood. And so that's how these things work. Well, I went to a guy's home one time, and he lived at the top of Beverly Hills. He's deceased now, so I won't mention his name. But I went there for a meeting, and I go through the gates, and I drive up the spiral driveway to the top of the hill. And I get to the top of the hill, and there's this magnificent mansion, and there's 6 garage doors, and they're all open, and the cars are backed in. So you can see, and there's a Rolls Royce, there's a Bentley, there's a Ferrari, there's a Porsche. It was just filled with dream cars. And then I look over, and there's this massive house. The owner comes out and greets me. I'm in my cheap rental car, and he comes in, and we sit down to start the meeting, and I'm looking around, and he has art everywhere. And I said, when we're done with this meeting, would you show me your art? He said, I'd love to. He said, I'm very passionate about my art. And so when we were done with the meeting, he walks me through. He said, that's a Jasper Johns painting. He said, I paid $1 million for that painting, and I bought it from, and he named a very famous director who he bought it from, same person he bought the house from. And he made sure that he told me how much he paid for it. And then he went through, and he told me, he pointed out every painting and how much he paid for it. And I said, well, tell me about the artist. I don't know this artist. I don't know their story. He says, oh, I have people who do that. I don't know about that. What was important to him was that he paid a lot of money for it. And these were signals. They were signals to overcome his insecurities, right? They were like, hey, look at me, beat my chest. Look how important I am. I have millions of dollars worth of art. Some people think that way. Not everybody, certainly. I don't think that way. But I do love a little bragging right once in a while to say, hey, I'd love to show you my David Lafell painting, or I'd love to show you my my Roger painting or my drawings. Things like that in my collection. I've got an 𝗥𝗵𝗄𝗶𝘴. To me, these are really cool things, and I'm very proud of them, and I'm happy to have been able to have them. And people, I've gotten to the point where I don't say anything anymore. People who know, and people who don't know don't care. And so I had an artist in my house the other day, and he looked across the room, and he said, is that an 𝗥𝗵𝗄𝗶𝘴 painting? I said, it is. That's all he said. And, I used to, back when I was younger and more insecure, I used to beat my chest a little bit about things like that. I don't care about that anymore. And then I had another artist in the painting in the house the other day, and she walked right by it. She looked at it, glanced at it, walked right by it. Didn't mean anything to her. So, and I would have looked like a jerk if I'd had said, hey, this is my trophy. So I think that, you've got to be thinking about that and how people buy their art. Anyway, pricing is tricky. Samsung, there are books on pricing, by the way. There's lots of books on Amazon on how to price things. It's not about pricing artwork, but it's about how to price things. And essentially what Samsung does is they will start out at a high price. If they get that price, they'll raise the price. If they get that price, they'll raise the price again. If they get that price, they'll raise it again. If it stops selling, they'll lower it down. And if it doesn't sell there, they'll lower it down. So, discounting is tricky. We tend to be insecure as artists. And so we're like, I don't think I'd pay $2,000 for that. But, somebody else will go, well, that's That's nothing to me. So you have to be willing to be brave and experiment. A very famous artist told me a story one time. He said, I had this painting. I was just getting started. I put it into an art gallery and it didn't sell. It was there for a year. So I moved it to another gallery. I doubled the price. Didn't sell. I moved it to another gallery a year later. Didn't sell. I quadrupled the price. He said, sold the first week. Right. So it's sometimes price is signal. Keep that in mind. But branding, getting your name out there to known collectors, man, that makes a huge, huge difference. Okay, so let's see if we've got any other questions here. Here's from Linda Marie Crabb. Do artists need agents to sell their work? Well, that's a great question, Linda Marie. That's a tough question. Everybody needs an advocate. And if you can get an agent and you're willing to give up 10, 15% of all your sales for the period of time they're an agent for you, and if you can find somebody who's proven, who's going to work it, who's going to do a great job, there are some really great agents out there, and they do a really terrific job, and they can help guide you, and they can do a lot of things for you, but they can't do it all, right? So most agents aren't going to spend their 10 or 15% on advertising for you. Some might, but what you want, but an agent will say to you, listen, if you want me to be successful for you, you're going to have to put together a budget. And I suggest, you're going to advertise for a year in this magazine or this website or this place or that place. And I need you to do that. And you're like, well, yeah, but I can do it for free online. And it's like, no, you can't. You think you can, but you've got to hit the right people. You got to be in the right places. You got to be seen in the right places. You got to be in the right environment. My magazine, Fine Art Connoisseur, has got a lot of billionaire readers, and you can't reach those billionaire readers easily, right? Especially while they're in their art environment and their art mindset. And so it's a matter of branding. And that's, by the way, showing up one time isn't branding. Showing up 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, it's getting closer. But you have to understand that in marketing art, you have a commitment that you have to be willing to make to promotion and advertising. You have to be willing to do a show every couple of years. You have to be willing to work with your galleries. You have to be willing to advertise and build your brand. There's a lot of different things that you need to be committed to. These are the costs of doing business. If you were to open a business, any kind of business, you'd probably have to advertise that business. You'd have to build up clientele. And clientele come and go. So you have to be constantly advertising to bring in new clientele. You have to build your brand. When people see you over and over and over and over again, it makes a huge difference. And that's when they get a little bit more confident. And then if it's down to, I'm in an art gallery and I see painting A and I see painting B, painting A is expensive, painting B is expensive. I'm going to go for the one that I know the artist more. Now, if I love one painting more, I'm going to go for the painting I love the most. But if all things are equal, then they're going to go for the brand. Okay, so let's see if we have any other questions. If you guys want to come on live, just go ahead. We'll put a new link in there so you can come on live. This is from Andrea. Andrea, I'd like to know where you're from. How long should you keep your work in a gallery when paintings don't sell? Well, I think that's a better question for a gallery owner, but I've had galleries. I'm currently in 3 art galleries and about to be in another. I will tell you that everything is cyclical. Everything in marketing is cyclical. I have moments in time when things just go flat and you can't explain them. People are distracted. I have moments in time when things go flat because people are in a fear mode, right? Elections. Whenever there's an election, especially a presidential election, everybody gets pushed into fear mode. Your world's going to come to an end if this guy doesn't get elected. And so people kind of get hung up and they get stuck in times like that. There are times when there's a national emergency going on. I remember we were doing some promotion during the big flood in Houston, and all the time and attention of everything was going to that big flood in Houston, and nothing was selling. No matter how much we tried, no matter what we did, nothing was selling. So things are cyclical, and that's true for paintings. You know, if you've got 5 paintings in a gallery, it only takes one person to buy all 5 paintings, or 5 people to buy all 5 paintings. And that gallery that painting may be sitting there for a long time, and all of a sudden one person comes in and they happen to go, "Oh, I love that. And do you have any more of that artist?" "Oh yeah, I want that one too." I was in an artist at a gallery one time, and this woman walked in and she said, "I'll take that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one." And the gallery owner said, "Don't you want to know how much it costs?" And she said, "I'm sure it'll be fair." I mean, that's how some people are. So what I think is important is communication with an art gallery. You don't want to bug them all the time. They're busy people. They're trying to do everything they can to bring people in the gallery. They're dealing with other people. You know, some people are going to resonate with some paintings and they're not going to resonate with yours. But what you can do is be a little bit of a squeaky wheel, not an annoying squeaky wheel. You know, if 2, 3 times a year you talk to your gallery and you say, "Hey, I notice things aren't selling. Do you want to send them back to me? Do I need to fix them? Is there a problem?" And making them aware sometimes is all it takes. So I'll tell you a quick story. I have this one gallery, and I was thinking about pulling all my artwork out of the gallery because the owner died. Right? Unfortunately, very sad. And the gallery's in flux. They don't know what's going to happen or not. And so I sent him a note and I said, should I pick everything up? What should I do? And they said, no, not yet. Just hang in there. Well, 3 weeks later, I got a big check in the mail from them. And I don't know if it's because I wasn't threatening to pull out, but I was thinking about it. Maybe they thought, well, maybe we need to bring a little attention to this, or maybe they were on display in a different area and they weren't getting seen. And so you want to have a gallery that moves things around all the time. I think that's really important. So just being a little bit there for them and calling them up and saying, "Hey, what can I do to help you? Is there anything I can do?" Because you could take a picture of a painting and say, you know, here's my painting of the Adirondacks, and I painted it at Eric's Publishers Invitational. And by the way, it's up in a series gallery in New Hampshire, and you can put a link. I mean, those things help. And so the galleries can't do it all. All right. Anyway, okay, here's the next question. For president of art leagues, is it a good idea to organize auctions versus exhibitions for members of the art league? And is it a good idea for art associations to create a website? I haven't really thought about that one before. So let's think about this. If you're an art organization, an art league, an organization, a local community organization, whatever, yes, it's a good idea to draw attention to your members. It's a good idea. Let's see, the question disappeared. Oh, there it is. It's a good idea to look for ways that you can draw lightning, right? So you do shows on a fairly regular basis, 2, 3 times a year. You can do auctions, you can do exhibits. I think that's also very important, and you want to get all of your members actively promoting it so that you're promoting it. And so, does an art association need a website? Yeah, probably. You at least need a Facebook page, and you probably want to have a website so people can say, "Hey, what is this all about?" So if they see something about the auction, they might want to click on the website and see, well, I need to learn a little bit about this organization. So, your press release can drive people to a website and so on. I am getting less and less interested in websites these days, but that's just who I am. I'm more interested in social media than I am anything else. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is, if there's we have one more question, and then we're going to wrap up, and we'll do this again next Monday. We'll do it every Monday at 12 noon. Art School Live is here every weekday at 12 noon, has been since COVID. And we try to be here to help you learn about how to paint. We're going to do marketing on Mondays, and we're going to do feedback critiques on Fridays of your work. So, and we'll do those live whenever possible. So, let's see. This comes from Diane Daggy Cox. Should a beginning artist have an LLC to start selling? Probably not. I mean, think about what is the purpose of an LLC? An LLC is primarily for legal protection. If you need it to be able to set up a bank account. But I think what you want to do is get to the point where you have a problem, and the problem is you're making too much money. And then, maybe you want to put it in an LLC. But I'm not one to give legal advice. I'm not qualified to give legal advice, and there may be someone who can chime into the chat, and there may be a reason to do an LLC. But if you're an artist and you're selling artwork, you've just got to make sure that you're claiming it on your taxes. Now, there may be some tax advantages that you can take advantage of, but I think until you're proving that you can make money, I don't worry about that. My son started a small business, and he wanted to go out and create an LLC and get licenses and all that stuff. And I said, look, why don't you find out if you can do this first before you could spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on all that stuff. And, it's not going to buy you a customer. What you want to do is get good at getting customers. And if you can find customers in some way, and prove that you can do this. I mean, wouldn't it be a shame if you spent money on an LLC and then you never sold a painting? Just saying. Okay. Okay, we're going to be back next week with Marketing Monday. Send your questions to me, Eric at pleinairmagazine.com. And you can come on camera next week. I'd like more people on camera. It makes it more fun for me. We have a couple of resources for you. One is we have a blog. That's a word nobody uses anymore, but we do have a blog. It's at artmarketing.com. And there's hundreds and hundreds of things on there about marketing. Specifically for artists, and you can find it there. We also have a book, a terrific book. It's called Make More Money Selling Your Art, something I wrote, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. And I like to use that as when people say, where do I begin? I like to say, here, take this book. You can pick it up on Amazon. You can pick it up on that blog I mentioned. And, it's $25, something like that. And it may be the best $25 you've spent because I put a lot of information in there and there's a lot of ideas. You can't do it all, but if you do one or two things, get a couple of principles down, that will make a big difference. All right. So anyway, that's what we got. Thanks for tuning in today. I can't really get into the comments too much with you guys because I'm talking and it's kind of hard to read comments and talk at the same time, but I'll get in there and check them after the fact. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Eric Rhoads, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur Magazine, Plein Air Magazine. We will see you tomorrow on Art School Live, and we will see you at the Plein Air Convention. Bye-bye.